PRX.
Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's time for the podcaster who's in flannel season right now. I'm in a flannel shirt. Rarely do I record in a flannel shirt, but, it's extra quiet and it's extra cozy so I can make things cozy for you. Are there any, here's another question though. Are there any, I'm sure there's flannel tea cozies. Talk about cozy tea. I see a lot of teapots in yarn, but I've never met a teapot in flannel before, except until I met you in my imagination. I guess that'll be tonight's episode. That's the title for it, at least. A teapot in flannel. And if that confuses you, well, why wouldn't you? But it means you're in the right place. It's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. Hey everybody, it's Scoots, and Sleep With Me really wouldn't exist in the world without a functioning democracy, because this show just isn't for everybody, but the beauty is it's available to everybody wherever you want it, whenever you want it, and that's just one part of everything that's going on, and that's why this show is a part of the Pro-Democracy Podcast Coalition, and wherever you are in the political spectrum, I think most of us agree that in a functioning democracy, the winner should be determined by the voters. And that almost didn't happen in 2020. And in some places, it came down to just a few election administrators who stood up to authoritarians and refused to fudge the numbers. And now heading into the next election, extremists are working to intimidate and replace nonpartisan election workers with yes people that might reject election results, and they could pull it off. And this isn't okay. It deals with people not treating election workers with respect. These people are the backbone of our democracy. And in a recent survey, 1 in 5 election workers has said they're likely to quit before 2024. Fortunately, there's ways to help. We partnered with the grassroots pro-democracy organization Represent Us to give you the tools you need to protect free and fair elections. All you got to do is visit represent.us/pod to learn more about how you can show support for election workers and take action against these threats to democracy. And soon we'll have information about how you can become an election worker. So read up, get involved, visit represent.us/pod. That's represent.us/pod. Hey everybody, it is time to talk about tonight's sponsor, Helix. And I don't know what your experience is with the bed you're in right now. Have you traveled and slept in a bed and then you say, I can't wait to get home to my bed? I love my mattress. If you're not saying that right now, I love my mattress. Even when you stay at a hotel, you're like, I cannot wait to get home to my mattress. You might be sleeping in someone else's mattress, like a mattress that just doesn't fit your needs. And I know I'm sleeping in the right mattress because with Helix, I took a quiz and I got matched with a mattress that's perfect for me. I sleep hot, I sleep on my side, I sleep on my stomach, and the Helix Dusk is perfect for me. I wake up every morning happy with my bed. I don't have aches and pains. I don't say, oh, I wish I could get a new mattress. I say, oh boy, am I comfy and cozy in my Helix Dusk Luxe. And you should figure out what is a mattress that's going to best meet your needs. And the way you do it, Helix has a quiz. It takes 2 minutes to complete, matches your body type and sleep preferences for the perfect mattress for you. Because why would you take a mattress made for someone else? With Helix, you're getting a mattress you know will be perfect for the way you sleep. Everybody's unique. Helix knows that they have several different mattress models to choose from: soft, medium, firm, mattresses for cooling you down, mattresses great for spinal alignment to prevent morning aches and pains. So if you're looking for a mattress, you take the quiz, you order the mattress you're matched to, and the mattress comes right to your door, shipped for free. You don't ever need to go to the mattress store again. And Helix is awesome. You don't have to take my word for it. Helix has been recommended by multiple leading chiropractors and doctors of sleep medicine as a go-to solution for improving sleep. Just go to helixsleep.com/sleep and take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and they'll match you to a customized mattress that'll give you the best sleep of your life. They even have a 10-year warranty. You get to try it out for 100 nights risk-free. They'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it, but you will. Helix even has financing options and flexible payment plans, so a great night's sleep is never far away. And Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/sleep. That's helixsleep.com/sleep. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody. And now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. You know, when I get burned out, sometimes I don't even realize it till I'm already experiencing the burnout. You know, it can come from working too much or not prioritizing self-care and time for myself. I don't know. Have you ever felt burned out? Like, what does it feel like for you? Because life can be overwhelming, and many people are burned out without even knowing it. Symptoms can include lack of motivation, irritability, fatigue, and more. And we associate burnout with work, but that's not the only cause. Any of the roles in our life can lead us to feel burned out. BetterHelp Online Therapy wants to remind you to prioritize yourself. Talking with someone can help you figure out what's causing stress in your life. And when people in my personal life tell me about stress or burnout or feeling overwhelmed, their lack of motivation, I say, check out BetterHelp. And then I tell them about my positive experiences with a licensed therapist and all the tools it brings me and the positive impact it has on my life and the people in my life. And I say, hey, check out BetterHelp because BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. And our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/sleep with me. That's BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/sleep with me. Check it out, BetterHelp.com/sleep with me. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, it is time for the Sleepy Supporter Zone. The one part of the podcast in each year is where I pop my peas. If you please, I thank the listeners who supported the sponsors. That's how we're able to be here free twice a week. So it really is something. And I love, like I talked about it earlier, another mention is like, I love hearing my name on other podcasts when I support them or support their sponsors. So I can tell you how good it feels. If you want to hear your name on Sleep with Me as a thank you, all you have to do is support a sponsor. Even check out a free trial. A lot of times we have amazing free trials. You check out a sponsor, you support a sponsor, you purchase the products, whatever it is, then you let them know about it on social media, or you can send them a letter, give them a call, then fill out the form at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors, and you'll hear your name on the show. How cool is that? It is cool. I could tell you. I say, whoa, boy. Like, even you say, Scooch, you make a podcast. You hear, I say, I don't know. It feels good. So if you support a sponsor, take an extra few minutes to spread the word and reach out so I can thank you, because I really do appreciate it. I couldn't do it without you. So that's why I'm looking for people to thank right now, because I'm looking for people who supported the sponsors and let the sponsors know about it so I can thank you here on the Sleepy Supporter Zone like you. Can't wait to thank you. That's the first part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone. The second part is you getting the support you need. If you're having a tough time right now, there's links to resources in the show notes, including international resources you can connect with right now. It's about being a part of community, being a part of positive change, saying Black Lives Matter, saying stop AAPI, saying support Ukraine with our actions. And so there's links to resources you could connect with to learn more and take action in the show notes. And one of the things we're doing as a community is building hygiene kits during live shows at night as part of my wind down or your wind down, doing it together as a community, having fun. You can join in on that effort at sleepwithmepodcast.com/midnight mission. That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/midnight mission. It's a free newsletter. That's how you get to participate in all the fun. Please join me. It's going to be a great time, and we're going to be a part of positive change and community. So what do you say, Mystery Bard? A lot of people hop out on the show. Who are they?
Posty poster son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Carl W. the legend. Also Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the mystery bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at jonathanmann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Anna like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mr. Bard. What do you say we slow it down and get on with the show? Please take a few minutes and sign up for our free newsletter to support the Midnight Mission. Sleepwithmepodcast.com/Midnight Mission. Thanks, everybody. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble, getting to sleep, trouble, staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. And what I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether that's thoughts, like things on your mind from the past, the present, or the future. It could be feelings coming up, feelings from the, past, but related to the thoughts, or that are just there. It could be physical sensations, changes in time or temperature or routine. Whatever it is, I'd like to take your mind off of that and keep you company so that you could fall asleep. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones. Extra creaky today, possibly because of my flannel and that my heater was on earlier. Creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, and superfluous tangents. That means my voice is not traditionally soothing. And because it's really more here to be soothing and distracting, or just distracting enough to take your mind off of stuff. Pointless meanders and superfluous tangents mean I'm going to get mixed up. I'm going to forget what I was talking about. I'm going to tell a story that's not going to make a whole lot of sense. Before I tell the story, I'll be talking for a while, so it'll feel like I never got started. And all of that is just to keep you company so that you can fall asleep, which is the most important part of the show, is you. And you getting the sleep you need and you deserve. And that's the main message I want to get across at this moment, is that you do deserve a good night's sleep. You deserve a bedtime that you don't have to anticipate in a non-positive way, that you say, oh, man. Like, you deserve a bedtime you feel neutral about or that you could look forward to. And you deserve the rest you need to feel rested so that your life is more manageable and that you could flourish. That is very important to me. One, because I know how it feels not getting the sleep, dreading bedtime, tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep. All those things I'm very familiar with. So I know how it feels there. That's why I call it the deep, dark night. But also because I know, because you deserve more, if you get some rest and your life is more manageable, that means your world's going to be better. Your life is going to be better. And that means the world for all of us is going to be better. And I know that's a little bit highfalutin or whatever, but that's really my goal that I strive for. Because, yeah, I know how it feels when I'm not rested versus I am rested. And, it's life is, tough enough to manage on its own. So I hope I can help. Now, there are a few things. One is that this podcast just doesn't work for everybody. It's not everybody's cup of tea. So if you got to give it a few tries to see. Like, this is literally hundreds of thousands of people have told me. It took 2 or 3 tries to get used to you because at first I was trying to listen, or I was waiting for it to get started or to make sense, or for you to put me to sleep in some traditional way. And then I realized, oh, no, you're just here to keep me company while I fall asleep. So that can take some time to get used to it, or you might be skeptical or doubtful or frustrated. And that's the normal way to feel about the show when you first get here, because it is very different. It's a very different approach, and it doesn't work for everybody, but it barely works for anybody on the first listen. So give it a few tries if you can. The show's free, so just give it a few tries and see how it goes. And, I hope it can help you. Now, if you definitely don't like me, you don't like the show or the sound of the show already, or you say, maybe 2 years from now, I'll check you out again, but for now, I need something else. Sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you. It's a list of sleep podcasts and sleep audio and other sleep stuff or sleepy audio that you could check out. So I hope some of that helps. So I'm already forgetting. I already got mixed up. This is a pointless meander that petered out, or petering out. How do you get your pointless meanders? Oh, let me count the ways. Petering out is one of them. A brain stall. My brain just stalled right out because it's what do brains do? Brains, that's what we were born to do. Stall out on scoots. So the other important things. This is also a podcast that doesn't put you to sleep. That can be hard to manage, too. This is a podcast that keeps you company. I'm here to more be your friend talking to you across the deep, dark night. Whether that's across one of the great seas of the world, across, the air of the deep, dark night, or just across the room. I'm here to just talk to you, just like if you were calling a friend. And you put them on speaker and you said, just tell me about your day. And, I'm not going to listen, though. Your friend might say, well, you want me to talk for an hour? Yeah, about an hour till I fall asleep. That's what my job is, to be that friend, your boar friend, your boar bae, your boar cuz, your boar sib, your boar bestie. Because I know, like a regular friend, there might be some social compact or... they might have some stakes. They say, well, sometimes I like to be listened to. And I say, for me, no, I'm here to talk. And for you, listening's optional. So I don't really put you to sleep and you don't really have to listen. You could listen. So if you can't sleep or you're stressed out during the day or you just want a surprise fall asleep, that's kind of what works best about this show a lot of times. It's like, oh, I just fell asleep at some point. I was kind of listening to him. So just kind of see how it goes. Like listen loosely at first, just like if sand was flowing through your fingers in your hand. You say, okay, that feels kind of good, but I can't really quite hold the sand. But it's slowly moving through my fingers. So kind of just barely listen to the podcast if you can. It might put you to sleep, but I'm more here to keep you company, and then you just fall asleep. The other things I like to tell new listeners about to get you ready is the structure of the show. The structure of the show is very intentional, but as you become a regular listener, it's also flexible. So there's a lot of different ways that people use the show that are longtime listeners, but there's really only one way structure I can put out on a regular basis. So that's the structure of the show. Starts off with a greeting. Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And that's hopefully so you feel seen and welcomed in, or you seal seals, which I say seals is in a verb, Scoots. And it's, well, I just realized, part of my brain just realized it was correcting me incorrectly. Seals is a verb. But with the way I was using it, you're right. It was a faux verb. Because I was thinking of, actually just a mispronunciation. But seal sounds good. But here's the thing. Don't seal up any seals. Well, no, incorrect. If your job's, I actually used to seal driveways. So I was sealing seals. I mean, technically I was sealing something. Also, sealing rhymes with sealing. That's not an ononym, that's a synonym, a homonym, right? Oh boy. Sometimes my vocabulary is actually present. How about a homonomatopoeia? Like, that's what I think that's what Squiggy used to say on, Laverne and Shirley, homonomatopoeia. Or maybe he was saying have an seals. I could think about seals all day long, but Susie seals not by the seashore. That doesn't work. Seals, something sealing. Sealing something. I don't know. Susie selling seals. I can't think of a way to put sealing in there. Susie sells sealing seals. Susie sells celebratory sealing seals. Sailing. I don't know. Sailing something, somewhere. Oh, this is the intro for a sleep podcast. Sorry about that. Oh, what are the things? Structure the show. So it starts off with a greeting. So hopefully you feel welcome and seen. I said sealing seals there by accident. Then there's support for the show. So it can come out. Our goal is to have the podcast come out twice a week for free on all podcast platforms. And so the support of the listeners and membership and then the sponsors enable us to do that. Also to have like a robust archive if you want to listen all night long. There's over 370 plus episodes in that free feed. So the sponsors and the patrons enable us to do that. Then there's support for listeners, support for the communities around the show. Then there's the intro. The intro goes from like minute 6 or minute 8 to minute 20 or so. And it's a show within a show. It serves a very specific purpose, but between the support and the intro, it can be frustrating for new listeners or people that expect something different. So I understand that. But so the intro, it's supposed to introduce the podcast, which I'm sure someone else could do in a very effective way. I cannot, because once I go down that sealing seals road on the ceiling, oh, what a feeling when the seals are sealing on the ceiling. There's a tongue twister I could get behind with the L train. But we could change, oh, what a feeling. Oh, seals are sealing. Seals are sealing on my ceiling. There you go. There we came up with one. That's not technically a tongue twister. I was reappropriating Lionel Richie lyrics. So it's technically like an L train twister. So it was so sealing when the seals are sealing on the ceiling. Oh, so what's like, I don't know. I'll figure it out in my spare time. Probably not in the beginning of a sleep podcast. This is what we do. That's why the intro goes on and on and on. Homonomapia. But it also serves a purpose. The reason you say, why would you make a podcast intro 12 to 20 minutes long is because what I've learned about sleep and the feedback I've gotten for listeners over the past like 8 or 9 years, however long I've been doing the show, is that people need a little bit of a wind down time. That's what all the sleep stuff says too, to ease you into bedtime, to get ready for sleep, to have a time where you transition from being awake to falling asleep. And so the intro helps with that. You could do something relaxing. You could be getting comfortable or getting ready for bed while you listen. But so the intro is supposed to ease you into bedtime. Now, there is some patrons that listen to story-only episodes that pay every month. And then there's people that set their timer to skip ahead to 20 or 30 minutes into the show. But there's also people that listen all night long. There's people that only listen to the intros. So you can kind of see how it goes as you become a regular listener. But the intro, hopefully, for those of you that are like me, I need a bedtime wind-down routine. And I found that it's something that really helps me emotionally and intellectually deal with bedtime and feel good about it, is say, okay, well, I have this bedtime structure now. And it's different because I co-parent. So then the nights my daughter's with me, we have one structure. And then when the nights I'm alone, well, I'm with Koa. Koa and I have a wind down routine. And no, that's not a joke. I put my head on her dog bed. I put my legs up on her bed, my bed, and then we meditate. That's just one part of our wind down routine, but it's just an example. So for you, sleep with me could be part of your bedtime wind down routine. That's what the intro serves. Then there's more business between the intro and the bedtime story. Again, so the podcast can come out twice a week, episodes over an hour for free on all podcast platforms. Then there'll be our bedtime story. Tonight it'll be, I guess, what is it called? A teapot and plaid or something? A plaid teapot? A teapot and flannel. That's what it is. So that'll be, and then there's some thank yous at the end. So it's a structured show. That's why I make the show. I'm really glad you're here. I really hope I can help. I yearn and I strive. I work really hard on the show, and I really hope it can help you fall asleep. Thanks again for coming by. And here's a couple of ways I'm able to do this for you for free twice a week. Sleep With Me is brought to you by Progressive. Have you tried the Name Your Price tool yet? It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. It's easy to start a quote, and you'll be able to find a rate that works for you. It's just one of the many ways you could save with Progressive. Get your quote today at Progressive.com and see why 4 out of 5 new auto customers recommend Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. All right, everybody, it is time to talk about tonight's sponsor, Air Doctor. And, you know, with the weather warming up, so is that pollen. And if you have allergies, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So get yourself an Air Doctor. You don't have to suffer. A high-quality air purifier is the key to surviving spring allergies. The grass, the dust, whatever is coming in, allergens can vary in size. You know, the average pollen size is about 25 microns, but Air Doctor captures particles as small as 0.003 microns in size. That's 100 times smaller than even the HEPA standard. And the Air Doctor captures a wide range of pollutants, odors, gases, chemicals like formaldehyde. Air Doctor is always on call to keep your air fresh and clean. The classic air purifier is powerful enough to circulate the air in a 630 plus square foot room 4 times an hour. And the Air Doctor takes the guesswork out of clean air. It's got an auto mode feature that uses a laser sensor to detect air quality and automatically adjust to the correct filtration level. My Air Doctor goes where I go. It's in my daughter's room, my bedroom, upstairs, wherever we are, we've got the Air Doctor running. So I get that peace of mind and I'm able to breathe through my nose and sleep easy. A professional quality HEPA air purifier is recommended by leading medical experts as an effective way to reduce seasonal allergies, airborne germs and viruses, and protect your home. Make sure you get an Air Doctor to keep you and your family safe. Air Doctor comes with a no questions asked 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't love it, just send it back for a refund minus shipping. And all you need to do is go to airdoctorpro.com and use the promo code SLEEP, and you'll receive a 35% discount on their classic Air Doctor 3000 purifier. That's right, I said it, 35% off, but only if you go to AIRDOCTORPRO.com and use the promo code SLEEP. That's airdoctorpro.com and use the promo code SLEEP. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody. Tonight's episode is called A Teapot in Flannel. And oh boy, are we in for a treat tonight. This is another story that just hasn't been told before. And, you know, it's once again, story about a journey of we say this is where you anthropomorphize something and I say, oh boy, you listen to Sleep With Me sometimes occasionally. You may hear parts of episodes. That's a great observation on your point. Though some of you might be saying, Scoots, when you say flannel, what exactly do you mean? And are you going to have trouble saying I'm a little teapot short? And I say, well, don't you know that my favorite thing is I'm a normal size. I'm a rectangular placemat, thin and flat. When you drop your crumbs, I got that. And of course, this story involves not just a teapot, but of course a placemat, because why would I say that stuff? But you may say, Scoots, what is a flannel? And what does it have to do, like, what's flannel? Okay, flannel. I technically, I don't know what flannels, what's it, like, great question. I wish I knew the answer, is what I mean, if I'm being honest, to quote Captain Picard or Guinan or Commander Riker or Someone else recently did it on a show I was watching, and once again, I was impressed. So impressed, I forgot. I think it was one of was it Gandalf or one of the elven goddesses who said, I don't know. So here's the first question I have. I'm not sure if flannel is made from, I'm guessing it's made from cotton and not wool. Though I'd tell you now, it's a flannel. Probably best would be in wool if you could make it, because all the reasons flannel gets used, flannel could be wool, but I don't know. Maybe I should pause it and look it up. Great idea. Great idea. Whatever is that called? The continuance brain, continuity brain. Okay, good news. Of course, there's a Wikipedia article. So one question quickly answered. I'm glad we looked it up. So this is from Wikipedia. It says flannel is a soft woven fabric of various finenesses. Fineness. No, not just fineness. It was originally made from carded wool or worsted yarn. But now it can be made from wool, cotton, or synthetic fiber. So that's interesting because it would say, no, I say against the skin, probably nice to have a synthetic or a cotton. I mean, for me, versus a wool or a yarn. But when I think about the purpose of flannel, to keep you warm in layering, you don't want cotton as a layer in the cold. Anytime you're going to be cold or wet, you want something. So you'd want wool. I think yarn. I don't know. I can't answer for worsted yarn because I'm the worsted when it comes to. But from my experience with feeling yarn, I'd say, well, that feels like one of those non-cotton materials that could retain heat and even and wick moisture, but retain your heat even when it's wet. And then synthetic fibers, I think, do that. So flannel, according to this, is commonly used to make tartan clothing, blankets, bed sheets, and sleepwear. It may be brushed to create extra softness or remain unbrushed. Brushing is, good, thank you for answering it, Wikipedia. Brushing is a mechanical process where a fine metal brush rubs the fabric to raise fine fibers from the loosely spun yarns to form a nap on one or both sides. If flannel's not napped, hey, flannel, take a nap. It gains its softness through loosely spun yarn in its woven form. Oh boy, even a correction for people, assumptions. A flannel shirt is often mistakenly used to refer to any shirt with plaid or a tartan plaid pattern. However, flannel is just a fabric, and not all flannel shirts are plaid. Holy cow, put that on a pillow. Not all flannel shirts are plaid. I could have told you that. The origin of the word is uncertain. Welsh origin suggests that it could have been fabric similar, traced back to Wales as early as the 16th century. Welsh cotton. French flannel is from the 17th century. German flannel, 18th century. It goes on, but I think that, there's a diaper flannel. Now I want to say flannel, but then that makes me think of, stout diaper flannel, stout cotton fabric, Ceylon, Ceylon, that's Watton, wool and cotton mixed together, Watton. How come they don't call that Watton or Wooten? What are you wearing? Wooten shirt, I'm walking around drinking Worcester and Worcester. Walking around Worcester, drinking Worcester in my Wooten shirt. Cotton or Canton flannel is cotton, and baby flannel used for children's wear. Okay, I'm glad we got that covered, just so I didn't make any, just so I could, okay, let's make some other assumptions I have about flannel, though. Flannel is typically associated, in my mind, with a few different categories. One, of course, people in the lumber, this is more of an archetype, I guess, than an assumption, but archetypal lumberjacks and Janes, and lumber people in the lumber industry, archetypal people, or people in cartoons. That's where I get most of my archetypes from. Wear maybe in flannel shirts. So that's one area. Or like you say, oh, you're like a mountain person. Oh boy, are you impressive. Okay, so that's one. Here's a question I have. I think I got the Lumberjanes comic books, but I haven't had a chance to read them. So I'll have to look when I read those if any of the Lumberjanes are wearing flannel. Somebody's probably already emailing me and let me know. I appreciate that too. Okay. Oh, other things. Grunge is another place that was like a 90s music scene style, Seattle grunge, which has made some comebacks. I mean, I don't know. So that's another thing I associate that flannel's associated with. I guess I can see some people either from my past because I lived in the grunge era, or just seeing people in my mind, or people dressed up like they're grunge for Halloween with a flannel shirt, normally around their waist, though, which I guess makes sense, especially if you're in Seattle. Seattle, place flannel makes perfect sense, especially flannel made from non-cotton material. Seattle, we give flannel a home that it's comfortable in, and you'll be comfortable in Seattle in flannel. Flannel and Seattle, two good things that go together. Seattle, the city of flannels. So the flannel city? No, we're the Emerald City, I think. But Vancouver, the flannel city, because Seattle didn't take it, and we said, well, we'll take it. That's a great idea, Scoots. So, okay, well, we got that solved. And then the flannel city's probably saying, hey, what about us? We're flannel. And I'd say, okay, there can be more than one flannel city. Okay, also flannel, over the past, 15 years, I've seen it come and go. I mean, it's one of those things that persists, but if you're stylish, it comes and it goes. Because I've seen people that I would consider stylish wearing flannel, but by the time I see them, then they're probably already they're probably already changing it up. But I would say when preppies dress down, they may be wearing flannel. But I don't know if there's preppies anymore, so I'd say that style... prep style. I don't know what it is anymore. Not that you could wear flannel if you're not a preppy. I have one flannel shirt. I use it mostly to walk the dog, or as as my secondary layer but then I say, well, I prefer something like a hooded sweatshirt most of the time. But I do have one flannel shirt. I'm not sure if it's cotton or what it's made of. So there's that. Okay, so those are some things I associate with flannel. These are a few of the flannel things that I remember. Lumberjacks and Janes, and Seattle grunge games. Those are a few of the flannel things. Cold, foggy evenings, and a chill in the spring. Those are a few of the flannel things I remember. Okay, so but this is nothing to do with it. This is what is it? What was the name of the story? A teapot in flannel. And we'll start the story where, sometimes I start my stories in the beginning. Sometimes I start them in, at various places. This one will start right in the middle of this journey. There's a teapot. And the teapot was out already on a journey when we catch up with this teapot, because the teapot had seen where the teapot lived and stuff. There was over the night, starting many nights ago before the teapot left, 1, 2, 3, and maybe you'd say 3.5 comets, which we never see. I mean, that I know about, first of all, I know some of you are saying, Scoots, what's a half comet? I say, well, again, I'm not a astronomer or I'm not a knower of the sky. I know the sky's up there. And this teapot was in the same boat as me. And the teapot didn't have internet because this story took place a while ago. It's been passed. This is one of those stories that was never passed down through generations. I had to go back and get it. And they said, why hasn't the teapot and flannel been passed down from generation to generation or, cross-culturally, like in different ways? And they said, have you heard the story? It puts everybody to sleep. And I say, one day, so keep passing it on. One day, don't worry. One day the story will it's already serving its purpose. You didn't even realize it. I guess, I probably won't do that if I have a time travel machine, but I should. It would be like when I'm making my poor decision, once I have access to a time travel, I'll say, well, I should just go back there and tell them, hey, tell the kids that flannel story. Or, that story that bases, what your clothing is made of and a traditional drink that your culture drinks, a vessel. Tell that story, even though it puts kids to sleep. It's an important one. And they say, yeah, but we're trying to, and I say, yeah, but you're putting everybody to sleep. It's actually, don't worry. Trust me, I'm from the future. And in the future, trust me, it doesn't make any sense even to me, and I do it as a job. But it makes perfect sense. And I say, see how quiet, well, here's what I'd say. Here's what I would do. I'd take them in a time machine to earlier in the day when all the kids were making noise. So I'd be breaking all sorts of time. I mean, I wouldn't be doing this because I'd be doing something else. Whatever. Who knows? But I would take them back in the day when the kids were being loud. And then I'd flash forward again to the present moment when they were in the middle of telling the story and all the kids were asleep, or the majority of the kids were asleep. I'd say, even look at those kids, they couldn't sit still. They fell asleep. Now we get it. Okay, so in this story, the teapot was out on a journey because there was 3.5 comets and 6 new stars in the sky. One night or over, I don't know. I didn't get the first part of the story because I fell asleep before they started. I do my sleep podcast story collecting in reverse. But so, okay, 3.5 comets. I just have to explain. It's so there's 3 comets every night. You could see them in the sky, slowly transversing the night sky. Behind them, the 6 new stars. And then some nights you could pick up another comet, maybe it's further away, maybe, I don't know, but it didn't appear every night as a full comet like the other 3, but it was clearly the occasional comet, a whole nother story. And so this teapot set out on a journey. Now, one thing that was interesting is that because, like you say, Scoots, I thought you said this episode took place a long time ago. And I say, well, you took it as 300 or 400 years ago. I just said the teapot didn't have access to the internet. But the teapot, you say, how does a teapot how does a teapot go on a journey? And so believe it or not, this teapot was in something that those of you that have grown up in the past, now this is something I never had before either, but it was, these things were called power wheels. It's a drivable, is a car for kids, a battery powered car for kids, not for the road. I don't know. I'm trying to think if I've ever driven a power wheel. It's, you could get them in different styles. And this was not technically a power wheel. Believe it or not, it was something, it was a go-kart because I don't know, but that's what the teapot was driving. But you say, wait a second, what? I say, yeah, it looks like a power wheel or a go-kart. But a Power Wheel is like I don't know. I always wanted one. I'm glad I never had one because I think every time I wanted to drive one, when I went to somebody's house, they said, oh, it's not charged. Or they would have fun driving around. They say, okay, the batteries ran out. You could drive it now. But you could see Power Wheels. There's many famous commercials, really good jingle, which was just simply Power Wheels, Power Wheels, Power Wheels, power makes it go. Or something like that. But usually, for someone, especially me, that has trouble pronouncing words, it would go pow, pow, Power Wheels. So, okay, but this was not a branded, believe it or not, this is not a branded podcast. This podcast episode, not sponsored by Flannel or Power Wheels. But Power Wheels, not exactly what's making this teapot go. But this teapot was going in a vehicle similar to that. I just wanted to kind of put that image in your mind in a very ineffective way. And strangely enough, this teapot was not the only person, like in this world, these small vehicles were just like in our world, I guess he's saying, well, I thought so this teapot was actually in this huge traffic jam of other cars, small cars like Power Wheels or go-kart. Now, this teapot's vehicle was bright red. Holy cow! You'd say I'd say it's candy apple red no, cherry red. Yeah, gumball, hot ball red, atomic hot. What are those called? Atomic hot balls? Are those a thing anymore? Atomic jawbreaker. There's a candy I haven't had in a while. Cinnamon ball. But so that was the color of the car. And the teapot was in the car. And every night, for a while, the teapot had lived far away from congestion. So it was just following where it thought the comets were going. But eventually other people got this idea, and the teapot had some more populated areas, and it was in this traffic jam. And now the good thing about teapots is they could, you think this is a joke or a pun. It's not. It's easy for them to let off steam. So even in a teapot-based world, or, kitchen accoutrement-based world. I don't know if that's what you call a teapot, but kitchen accessories, vital, I don't know. But so teapots don't get as irritable as humans do in a traffic jam. But they do, try to consider all their options. So the teapot eventually was like, okay, this main road, like a freeway, everybody's traffic jammed in here. Clearly, either there's again, no internet, so Teapot wasn't sure if this was normal. Teapot had never been along this way before. And we'll just call it Teapot T for efficiency's sake. Teapot, except was like, okay, well, maybe I need to find an alternate route. And eventually pulled up next to a cab. And the cab was carrying a couple saucers, but the cab was also sentient, where Teapot was in this world, the cabs were sentient too, where Teapot's car was just a vehicle or power wheel. But so the Teapot said to the cab, is this traffic normal? And the cabbie said, well, it's it's a mix of things. There's a lot of people trying to follow those comets. And then, this is it's various layers of traffic here. It's not one cause, but probably exacerbated by the people following the comet. And I have no idea how far it's going to be. And I got to get these saucers somewhere. It's a kitten's birthday party, and they got to do the show, and then of course it's this milk. I don't know. It's this whole thing, and so I'm a bit worried. And believe it or not, I've been sitting in traffic, and I didn't plan it, and I'm low on power. And so I got to get to this next exit, but I don't even know. Once I get to the exit, I know where I'm trying to get to the party because they don't really have time for me to stop and re-energize. And the Teapot said, "Oh, wow, it sounds like you're in a pickle. Maybe I could help you." And the cabbie said, "Well, great, thank you. Is there anything I could do for you?" And the Teapot said, "Well, it's a little embarrassing, but I'll be honest with you. I'm one of these people following the comets. I know it's a big deal. And they all seem to be going in the same direction. And some people say they're millions of miles away or whatever, but it's got my attention. And I wasn't really doing anything. So I figured I'd go anyway and follow them and just have an adventure." And the cabbie said, "Wow, that's very courageous of you and very interesting. And but I actually asked how I could be of service to you." And the Teapot said, "Well, I really don't feel like I'm in an adventure sitting in traffic. So in some sense, you'll be allowing me to go on an adventure by helping you. But after I help you, I guess I'm trying to figure out where to go next." And the cabbie said, "Oh, I could probably, I'll look up a map while we're going. So I just need you to give me a push, get behind me and push me, because there's the exit. And I'll tell you which way, you just keep pushing me, just follow me. I mean, while you're pushing me, you'll already be following me. We'll get these kittens the saucers to the kitten party. And I got to wait for them. So I can't really take you on a guy. I'm listening. This is a full, the people that are running the party are paying me to get the saucers there and back. These are the Saucy Saucer Sisters. They sing song. And then the Teapot said, "Holy moly, really? Wow, great to meet you." But they were kind of not, they were super famous, so they were kind of not giving the Teapot the time of day, which was fine for the situation. So the Teapot starts pushing the cabbie, and the cabbie's looking up the maps while, when the traffic's fully stopped. And the Teapot's pushing, and eventually they get off this freeway, and they keep going. And whatever, they take a bunch of turns, roundabouts, up a hill, country roads. They get out to this beautiful farm. And there's all signs and balloons, giant, holy cow. If you think you've seen yarn, you've never seen yarn on this. It was a yarn farm. And balls of yarn, all that kind of stuff. Whatever. So they get out there, and they had a recharge station for the cab because it's, I don't know. I don't know if it was a real farm or an estate party farm, But the cabbie says, "Okay, let me show you this map. Let's go over the map." The Saucer Sisters went to work, and they're going over the map, and then the cabbie says, "It looks like if you go along this road across the farm, I'll give you this map, and you understand how to read a map?" No. So they kind of went over the basics of it, but also it was a bit like a Thomas guide for this world, which I'm trying to think how to explain it, or a triptych, but not exactly, where it's a book in a binder. It's a bunch of maps, and when you turn the page, you can look at a grid that sees where all the maps are. And then when you turn the page, the map is going either north, south, east, or west. But then if you have to go north, south, east, or west, you can find the page number at the side of the map. So it's maps within maps laid out on a grid system, easy to cross-reference once you learn the system, and this was more of a regional Thomas guide where traditionally, like if you lived in Los Angeles, like when I lived there, Thomas Guide was key to getting around before the internet. And I'd probably say, I guess because streets and stuff change, like these apps have probably made it less. I wonder if there was ever, I wonder who owns that now. But so I don't know. So it's just, this was similar, but on a regional, like so more like not a triptych. I don't know. Triptych's a whole nother, triptych's very similar. You could still get those, but I tried to get one and figure it out, but I couldn't. And this is actually the same thing the cabbie was explaining to the Teapot, because the Teapot said the only maps I ever seen were the ones, that you just like the one I have, which just covers like, it was like a state map in their world. And so the cabbie then explained what a Thomas guide was, which they called a Flution guide there, because it was just based on whoever, Flution. Yeah, you say, Scoots, can you say that one more time so we know it's not a made-up word? Flution. Don't ask me later, though, because they just called it the FG anyway. But then the cabbie said, like a triptych is similar, like you would go to the AAA in our world, and if you remember, and then you'd say, hey, I need a triptych to go from this place to this place, and just like you would do on your app, but they would do it there. I think you had to order it, but they would assemble maps on the most efficient journey with highlights, but also you could fold the map out to have like a more area map, and it had suggestions for where to stop. That was what a triptych was. Now, why is that important? I don't know. It just popped in my head and distracted. Well, the cabbie was like, okay, so this is how you're going to go. But, obviously you might change your mind, or like, I wanted you to know how to look up and find where you are. Basic wayfinding lesson. Now, meanwhile, while all this is going on, but right towards where, and they were listening to the Saucer Sisters sing and dance. So that was very soothing. And, I don't know, they were getting to the point. It was like a beautiful evening. Comets were in the sky. 5, the 6 new stars, all 3.5 or 4 comets were in the sky at this point. But then there was this hubbub, right? And the next thing they knew, this, like a duck with a very, was in a bad mood and was like giving a very intense speech to this placemat, which in this case was a flannel placemat. Spoiler, but not totally a spoiler. And the placemat kind of had its head down. And the duck was, the basic crux of what the duck was saying was that your job was to sit still. Your job is to be placed. You're a placemat. And, even said, you're the worsted wool I've ever seen. And basically was like they were jointly deciding that this placemat would no longer be employed at this, and even the thing said, I'd give, if some of the kittens could just play with you. But the placemat said, no, I'd prefer to go out on my own. And the placemat was pleasantly surprised, because the placemat, at least internally, was like, okay, well, I got a long walk ahead of me. I don't even know where I'm going to go. And that's what the placemat said when its face lit up in surprise at seeing the cabbie and the Teapot in a power wheel. And it said, holy cow, hi, my employment status just went from full-time to free, and it looks like I'm on an adventure. And the Teapot said, funniest thing, I'm on an adventure right now, too. And the cabbie kind of looked at both of them, and a light went on, like, it was a glove box light, but it really was like also, and the cabbie said, you know what? Like, the hardest thing about being a cabbie, like, I know most of these maps by heart. Like, I only have to look at a map when I'm stopped, and I'm going someplace new, but usually I already plan out my route and then I double check it so that my mind's absorbed the material. But, I don't have anybody, like part of this idea of the Thomas Guide or the triptych is that it's a team effort because, and like the flannel placemat actually was like, oh yeah, I remember when I was just, like a wool ball, like the ones you see out there, made of yarn. So the placemat was actually familiar with this stuff. So then we didn't have to, no one had to re-explain it, even in a sleep podcast. But the cabbie said, you need somebody to help you. Like it works better as a team, basically. Triptych, Thomas Guide works better with a driver and navigator. And so maybe the two of you could work together. And the placemat said, work together at what? And Teapot said, well, I'm following these comets that have been in the sky. And it's just kind of been an adventure, like, so far. So I guess I'm kind of following the comets, and I'm like enjoying the new stars and curious about it and thinking about it, and that's my adventure. I'm trying to follow the comets, basically. And so I realized, and if that's your opinion, I respect it and I don't need to hear it, but some people would say this is pointless and that's impossible. And the placemat said, well, I got nothing to do, and I love this idea. Would you have me as your navigator or your helper? And the Teapot said, why not? Why don't we get going? And then they had, like a bit of an extended goodbye with the cabbie because they had developed a quick friendship. And then they went out behind the farm. They took a right. Then they took a right, then another right, then a left. Then they went up this really big hill. Then the kind of hill went down a little bit, and then they rode for a while straight. Then they went on a curve, I think left. And then they came across, there was one more hill and one more curve. They saw in the distance this giant lighthouse. And the lighthouse was cool because, or at least to me, because I'd never seen, well, probably have seen, but typically this was like a sea blue lighthouse or a sky blue lighthouse, towering up in the distance with a light on it, scanning the sea. So they could see the sea. And they said, wow, that is some lighthouse. And the policeman said, so the strangest thing is like that, lighthouse is higher up. It's got a great view. And I've heard word that, and the Teapot said, where'd you hear word from? And they said, well, we've only been driving however many hours it was. It was actually like a lot longer than I made it sound, because it was the next night. The policeman said, well, I heard at another party we had at the farm that I was working at, before I was a placemat. Only recently became a placemat, and I'm just not, being a placemat's not my thing. And the Teapot said, okay, but we were talking about, and it said, okay, so I heard from some guests at the party that they had been at a lighthouse, and lighthouse had astronomy equipment, like stuff to look at the comets from. But this was before the comets, so they were just looking at the stars and the moon and the stuff in the sky. And the Teapot said, wow, so we could look at the comets, and the placemat said, yeah, and we could get a better idea of where they're going and maybe even get a better view of the comets. And so they drove down. Now, this was a very big lighthouse, and it was on like a coastal isthmus. So anybody who's ever driven in that kind of situation knows it takes a while. Like you get your anticipation build up, and then you go, oh boy, it's a lot of turning and going up and going back down. And eventually, like halfway out the isthmus, they came across like a quiet little town. The definition of quaint, holy moly. I don't know what they call those roofs that look like they're beautiful. Like, I don't know. Are those gingerbread roofs or something? But beautiful roofs, different colors, cobblestone streets, the whole 9 yards. And, they drove through town and they stopped and they said, hey, like, we're just driving through town here. And they said, where are you heading? They said, to the lighthouse. They said, oh boy, did you know? Are you really going to the lighthouse? And they said, well, we're trying. Is there some sort of obstacle in our path? And they said, well, there's an obstacle in our path because we're the last town before the lighthouse. And, we've been a quaint spot, and we lost a lot of people that are following the comet. And also, like, a lot of our younger residents, they move on to the big city. We're actually the home of the Saucer Sisters. And they said, you got to be kidding me. And they said, no. Like, they're actually just best friends. But anyway, they grew up here. And ever since they like hit it big, everybody kind of encouraged our town to dream. Not a bad thing. But the thing is that it's interrupted our we can't get anybody to run the lighthouse, and they said, it's just been this thing. And the other thing is we have a very, so that's one thing. And they said, well, it looks like it's running fine. And they said, well, we got to leave the light on all the time. And that's not normally how we do it. So it's they said it's hard to explain, but basically we're all volunteering to keep the lighthouse moving and all that stuff. And in the past, we've had lighthouse keepers they keep the lighthouse and then, they run the lights. And, so we were hoping you were here to apply for the job. And they said, well, we don't know anything. And they said, oh, you could learn. And then the townspeople said, well, why don't you go look at, they said, why don't you go look at the lighthouse and stuff? And they said, well, can you tell us more about this job just so we know about it? And they said, okay, so normally this lighthouse is part of the path. Like if you look off to the west or your left, you're going to see like this isthmus sticks out, and so it's so everybody can avoid this isthmus, right? But at this point, normally, like ships are only supposed to come through when the moon is between half full and half. Anything less than half full, or whether it's coming or going. Ships are not supposed to be traveling in this region because there's a couple places that the moonlight, like there's other places that don't have a lighthouse that you probably, if as long as you have half moonlight, easy to avoid. And because our lighthouse is lit, then you say, okay, so I know how far to go out. But the rest of the time, the lighthouse is off, the light. And now you're not off duty because then you're keeping the lighthouse, which is a bit of work. And that's part of the job. Free room and board, you get paid. And then the light's off, and then we all sleep a lot better because the way that lighthouse works, it just throws off. It's a particular type of lens they use because we're just trying to, again, tough to explain until you get into the job, but that keeps us all up at night, and or just doesn't, our quality of sleep is not the same. because also there's a slight buzzing up there. And so, so we want to shut that lighthouse off because then our sleep schedule, we don't sleep like those mammals. Our sleep schedule was based on the moon. And this was utterly confusing to the Teapot and the flannel placemat. They said, okay, we kind of get it. But yeah, can we go see the lighthouse? They said, go ahead, go down there, go on upstairs. There's probably, we don't, I could check who's on duty, but somebody nice, we're all nice around here. And, check it out, see what you think. And so they headed out and they headed down there. And this just happened to be one of the times when the moon was less than half full. But, what they didn't explain was kind of what they got. So they went to the lighthouse. Then they knocked on the door. Now, actually, this was another team job. There was actually like a bell you rang. But it took them a while to figure that out because they had never been there before. And the bell rang in one place. Like it was one of those bells on a rope that went way up with pulley system. But so at this time, like there's two people there. One person, kind of like this team thing with the guiding. So one person came down, they said, hey, we just started by, they said, you're here for the lighthouse job? You're not from around here. And the flannel placemat and a Teapot, perfect. You two, you look like you already work well together. And I said, well, I'm keeping like I'm off duty, so I answer the door and stuff. And my partner's upstairs, and we're tuckered out. And they said, okay, well, and then the Teapot said, okay, and they said, well, come upstairs, we'll talk. And they said, okay, well, this is the lighthouse, this is the light, and, when you're on duty, currently, they had to run in this like wheel, like a bit like a hamster wheel, but you don't have to run fast. And they said, yeah, this is like how we keep it going. That's what keeps the light on. That's why we would prefer to, they explained that to get the light started takes a lot of energy running really fast. But then otherwise you just have to you don't even have to do it all the time. But there's a clock that lets you know, like when to wind it up. They said it's just too tiring for us. It's easier for us to keep the light on all the time. Like we're just, with all the volunteers and stuff. And they said, whoa, look at all these telescopes. And they said, oh, you like telescopes? Yeah, we if the light was out, we could be looking at the comets and stuff. And you really learn more about you'd learn so much about astronomy and things. You would be blown away at how much you could see the comets. You could see what they're made of. You can even see that there's 4 comets all of the time. It's just the way the sunlight and the moonlight is that you can't see the 4th one all of the time. And the placemat and the Teapot, because they've been talking a lot about comets in their downtime when they're driving. So they were like, wow. And they said, well, this is pretty cool. So we'd live here. And they said, could we try it out? And they said, well, we'd prefer like a 6 to 12 month commitment so we could catch up on our sleep. But you could try it out for a couple days and see what you think. We'd just ask, they keep it lit for now and that we'll just stay here with you because there's guest rooms. And so they did. They tried it out and they learned kind of the basics of this type of energy source and lighting and moving it around and actually like at the perfect time because there was really no stakes. And they said, okay, and we could keep a volunteer coming by at night to help one of you whoever's running the light and whoever's off duty. And, we could do all that. And then the Teapot said, well, but we could sleep during the day, right? So, and they said, well, sometimes it's like one hot lighthouse keeper. You could figure out your schedule between the two of you. And they said, one other thing to know, though, is it's like pretty chilly up here at the top of the tower when you're running, even when you're kind of moving the wheel based on the wheel schedule. And so you'll have to think about that. And they said, okay, well, we'd like to see the lighthouse without the light on before we take the job. And they said, okay. But then if we do it, you two have to get it restarted because all of us here, we've just lived full lives. So running that wheel, it'd probably take the two of you to get the light restarted. Not too long, but again, you're a healthy teapot and a placemat. So they shut down the light and, mostly because they wanted to look through the telescopes, which couldn't see through because of the light when the lighthouse was lit up. And they were blown away. And the Teapot already said, okay, now I realize what everyone was telling. Like, this is my adventure. Because the Teapot immediately was went from having this distant kind of fantasy goal of following the comets to suddenly now studying the comets. But the Flannel placemat also said, I love, one, I really have extra energy to burn, so running this wheel is great for me. But also, what had happened between the two of them formed this deeper bond, and they realized also that there was a physical connection between the two of them because the placemat could surround the teapot. And the teapot, again, I didn't get into this mechanics of the teapot, but of course it's made to keep tea hot or, warm. And they realized that their partnership was more than just, wayfinding and working together. It was much more deeper than that. They were in love. And they found that their love and companionship could sustain one another through cold nights, metaphorical, but also real ones. And eventually they learned that they had separate interests and skills within the lighthouse and astronomy community. And the thing about the placemat was the placemat said, okay, well, how much are we, what's the budget for the lighthouse? Because we could bring on other part-time help, because I know plenty of people out on there's a lot of wool being produced and placemats and other flannel things. I probably could get some more young people in this community, not all full-time. And the Teapot discovered these libraries, these astronomy clubs, but also a profession as an astronomer, and found out the wonder of these comets, the real wonder of these comets. And in their world, it was much more than just flying ice or whatever a comet is in our world. So there were other payoffs, because the comets were going somewhere to cool something down, which again doesn't happen in our world, but they said they were balls of ice traversing the sky. But they are going to, some demi or full-fledged spiritual being needed some ice water. And that's a famous 4 comets, 6 stars for one. That's another tale. Ice water for a celestial being. That was a theory that it gained great acclaim. And happened, all was formulated at the top of this. Well, not all at the top of the lighthouse, but I don't know. So that's how it ended up. Was most nights when it was cool up there, you would think they were one because the flannel placemat would be around the teapot. The flannel would be holding the heat in. The teapot would be, they were together, keeping one another, sustaining one another through cold nights when the moon was less than half full or almost getting towards half full. So that's a famous story that I say, well, okay, could see how it wasn't popular. This is my version of a tale that was not told through time, but maybe if people in the past knew that it could help people get the rest they need, just like those two would rest intertwined, or sometimes they say, no, I'm going to take a nap, you keep working. That's the tale of the teapot and flannel. Good night, everybody. All right, I want to just thank everybody that became a patron recently. I want to thank David, Stacy, and Tammy. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Kylie, Elissa, and Jessica. Thank you. Thanks. Good night. Emily, Emma, and Jennifer. Thank you. Thanks. Good night. Bridget, Aaron, and Dawn. Thank you. Thanks. And good night. Linnea and Ann. Thank you. Thanks. And good night. And Hazel and Marissa. Thank you. Thanks. And good night. Thanks everybody for the support. Sleep With Me literally is here for you for free, because the patrons and the people that support the sponsors twice a week, over 375 episodes in the free feed. Thanks to that. We grow as a show by people spreading the word just about podcasting in general, even, especially, when it comes up, a soft sell always works. You could also join our referral program and get rewarded for sharing about Sleep With Me at sleepwithmepodcast.com/refer. And what do you say? Here's like, as we've gotten more stuff in the feed, it's been these Talk You In sponsors that have helped us be like, okay, let's keep adding episodes into the free feed. Thanks.